So we are now back. I believe this is now episode 9. And the crew has had a very eventful morning.
Woohoo!
um, you, on the previous night, had some adventures breaking into the embassy and rescuing Lady Alara DuPont. The following morning, various members of the crew had sort of explored their items they'd picked up in the previous couple of days, including a journal and a backpack that contained some items. Alara joined you all for breakfast, and there were some revelations, especially once Mug came in parading a certain silver box. The discussion also turned to a certain wanted poster where the nose is slightly too big. The crew watched Bhajiri get summoned away and had gone up on deck to go and try and find someone who would purchase this silver box and take it off their hands for supposedly a hefty weight in gold. Just in time to witness the brand new cannon that was being brought to the ship to replace the one that had been destroyed in the battle being stolen. You'd chased the thieves through the streets and engaged them when they attempted to ambush you. The information that Edric got at gunpoint from one of the ambushes was that a hit had been placed on the crew of your ship, and that it had been placed on them by the Syndicate. And he mentioned that there were some mob that worked out of a tavern called the Shattered Hand. In this time, none of you have really seen Merrisea. The last that anyone saw of her was probably Tarin, who sort of lost Merrisea and Bhajiri when giving chase to a certain slaver. Merrisea, you crashed into a small street side stall with kitten in tow, and after arguing quite furiously with the shop owner, wandered off into the city looking for either Bhajiri or the slaver in question, and we'll get to where you wound up in a bit.
Nice.
The rest of you gathered around the cart and the horses that has your cannon and a bunch of materials on it, a couple of prisoners, and a large number of bodies just lying in the street. At this point, some of you are a bit surprised that the guards have not actually arrived to investigate gunshots and fighting, and the streets remain relatively deserted.
We still have prisoners, right?
You've currently got 4 still prison, sort of hands up, away from their weapons. They're looking at you, particularly Edric, in terror, since you've effectively just shot one in the face in cold blood.
Do they have any pistols on them?
Currently, no.
Like near them, then? That they used to carry?
None of them appeared to be armed with ranged weapons. They were all with swords or small axes.
Damn it.
These
In that
were,
case,
by their clothing, they look more like street toughs rather than any sort of formal fighters.
I'm gonna turn to one of the guys that looks at me in terror. I'm gonna like give him a proper scare, like as if I'm going for him next. Then I'm gonna grab him by the throat, and lift him up,
I'll get you to
like one
do.
of the smaller guys.
I'll still get you to do a strength on that.
That's 3, 4, 3 with 4 stun points. So that's 13 plus strength is 2. So that's 16 total.
It takes a lot of effort, but you actually manage to get him up just off his toes. He's hanging
Good.
by his shirt.
I'm gonna then ask him, where the fuck are the guards?
His eyes are very, very wide, and he goes, They don't come this end of town. There'd be blood in the streets if they did. There's an agreement.
With whom?
With the captain of the guard. He stays out of here and he leaves the Shadow District to itself.
And who ordered them to stay away from the Shadow District then?
The Syndicate, they run things here.
Where could we find them?
You hear someone clearing their throat and a slow clap
I
from
turn my pistol to the slow clap, and then I look.
there is a cloaked elf and a dwarf that looks very familiar to several of you. The dwarf is just leaning on the open door of the warehouse. The elf is standing somewhat behind him. Edric, you definitely recognize this dwarf. He was the one that stabbed the very, very pompous owner of Mug.
Oh, hey.
Hi there.
He shoots you a grin, Edric, and goes, "You've definitely been making waves since you've got in town."
It's what I do best. I'm gonna drop the poor guy that I'm still carrying by the throat. By the way,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna drop him and turn towards the dwarf and the elf.
You drop him, and when he was looking at you in fear, he's looking at these two in absolute terror, and he starts scrabbling away trying to run. The cloaked elf just raises a hand and blasts him with a firebolt in the back, sending him pitching into the ground.
Thank you, saves me a bullet.
The dwarf looks at the remaining three and goes, "You can feel free to tell everyone that the contract is off. And if I see any of you, I will be the last thing you see." The three of them don't take a second, and they just bolt. He looks back at the rest of you and goes, "You handled yourself quite well. And it's a good thing at that. You've made my job a lot easier."
Your job?
Yes, my job. I'd like to extend you a formal invitation to meet with the Fifth. And for those of you that aren't local to here, that means that the person in charge of our little organization here in Port Marley wants to see you.
Okay, and you do realize that that person staged this whole stealing my cannon thing. Huh. Right?
I believe that the people who staged this very, very public debacle are lying bloody all over the street.
Yes, but they did so because they were hired by the Syndicate. That's what they said. Or well, that one. And I point to the one with the hole in the forehead.
The dwarf looks at him, scowls, and then looks back up at you, Edric. They can believe what they want to believe, but the fifth wants to speak to you, and I believe that requires you to be alive and kicking. That said, my men will take this cannon back to your ship, because half the town guard are in an absolute uproar looking for this damnable thing. And I believe I don't want to keep the fifth waiting. Coming?
I'm a look to the rest of the party then.
I'm not there.
Mug just shrugs.
Tarin there?
Tarin, you were there murdering those guys with us, right?
Yep, Tarin was there at the fight.
Sorry, what was that?
You helped murder these guys, right?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. In that case, I'm gonna point to, well, basically Lil One, Mug, then Tarin and Wisp, and I'll go, so, what do you guys think? Because I think I know what I'd like to do, but, you know, since we're all here, I might as well ask.
The dwarf is slowly tapping his foot.
What's it you want to do, Edric?
I think it might be good to go have a chat with this guy and ask him who wanted this contract on us.
Tarin, are you feeling brave?
Sorry, I'm really struggling to hear. What was that?
Tarin, are you feeling brave?
Sure.
Then I guess we're going to be accompanying you then, Edric.
Sounds good.
I wouldn't know about good, but it's sound.
The dwarf just grins and then clicks his fingers, and some dwarves and men come walking out of the warehouse where he's standing. None of them are armed, but they're in workman's smocks and basically looking like your average dock worker. And he gestures towards the cart and goes, "See that one back to the Cirrus. And be discreet." And then he gestures towards the open door and beckons you all in.
I'm gonna, like, as a gesture, put away my my pistol, but like in the belt over my chest so that it's still with easy access and very, very ready to pull.
He winks at you, and then once you all start to make your way through towards the door, he turns and starts leading you into the warehouse, which, once you get past the first couple of rows of crates, you realize is actually a front. There is a street pretty much directly behind it that leads deeper into the warehouse district. He takes you round increasingly narrower streets and corners and alleys before leading you out to a very familiar looking building for Tarin and Mug. And you are now back in front of the Shattered Hand.
Oh joy.
I'm gonna. Do I recognize that this is the place that Tarin and Mug have been to before, like from their responses?
You heard mention of the Shattered Hand, and I'll get you to roll a perception to see if you notice the sign.
No.
I get the feeling that was a definite no.
So
Oh, wowzers.
you walk pretty much side by side with the dwarf as you make your way towards this tavern. You're busy looking at the boarded up windows and looking around corners just to make sure that you're not being led into yet another ambush. You're not paying any attention as you walk flat into the orc that's actually standing directly out the front of the tavern. And he places a large hand on your shoulder and grunts, "Watch where you're going."
Okay. I'm sorry.
He looks at the dwarf and goes, "Blackjack, these ones with you?" The dwarf looks up, gives a very imperceptible nod, and walks in, and the orc just lifts his hands up and lets you in.
As Tarin walks past, he's going to look at the orc, like go a little pale and go, "Hello, nice to see you again," with a really awkward smile and kind of rush past.
You see his eyes widen slightly in recognition, and he seems somewhat dumbfounded that you're walking along with Blackjay. He does a bit of a double take and sort of looks between you and the dwarf and back again.
Okay,
Tarin's
go with
just
it.
gonna keep like smiling sheepishly at him and just kind of shuffle into the tavern.
Anyone that's behind Tarin will actually hear him muttering something about, "I never knew Blackjack picked up strays." And just for an image, that's what Blackjack looks like
He looks
when it
friendly.
loads. The tavern is busy out the front. There is tons of people in there. There is drinking, there is cheering, there is what sounds like a massive gambling game going on in the corner.
Oh,
The place is absolutely amuck with street toughs and sailors, and I will get the entire crew to do a perception check.
Well, my picture's still not loaded, though.
It's still loading for me too, it's been slow.
Oh, okay. Okey-dokey.
Is that including seeing?
Yep, that was including scene. That's an 11 for you, Edric, as well. And an 11. I'm seeing a lot of 11s here.
Glenn, how is 6 + 2 + 2 + 3 11?
Sorry, that's
that
my math.
13?
That's 13. Awesome.
Actually, someone who can see shit. Thank you, Tarin.
Most of you are still looking around for threats and trying to get a grasp of what's going on. Tarin, you've been here before, so you're more aware of the layout of the place.
Mhm.
And as you look over towards where the gambling game is going on, you notice someone that you recognize.
Sorry, I noticed who?
Someone that you recognize. Merrisea is standing up, raking in a whole bunch of coin and other items off a table, and there is a group of somewhat disgruntled looking men who appear to have just lost their game.
Gosh, well, it was awfully fun playing with you chaps. I did warn you not to take me on, didn't I? I'll just take this with me. Oh gosh, look who's over there!
Oh, hello.
Hello, chaps.
And Merrisea, you've got
Making some new
23.
friends.
You've got 23 gold and a gold necklace with sapphires in it.
She's gonna scoop it all into a little pouch, just kind of winking at each of the chaps around the table as they crack their knuckles. Menacingly at her.
They seem relatively pissed, but they also appear to be well aware that starting a fight in this particular tavern does not end very well for people.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of scoop stuff into the pouch and then walk over to the group. Oh gosh, hello chaps. It's been a while. I got rather turned around in the city and on my way in here. Did you come to find me? How lovely.
Tarin's just going to be surreptitiously watching the people that Merrisea has been like gambling with, but so talking to Merrisea, but watching the other people, and be like, no, we've done quite a lot whilst you've been absent. We've kind of been told that we need to be here to meet somebody called the Fish. He says that a bit really quietly because he's really scared.
Apparently, the dude's important.
Yeah. I mean, you're welcome to join us. I'm not sure how safe it's going to be. I would also be very careful of those men you were gambling with. They don't look too happy.
Because I did the old hustle on them, pretended to be a complete buffoon, and they fell for it. And then I got my skills out, and I seem to have cleaned up quite well.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Edric is genuinely looking impressed from behind his scarf, goggles, and hood.
Yeah. Tarin, you've been watching these guys, and they go from looking downright pissed to somewhat worried when they see Merrisea approach you, but they're not looking at the rest of you. They're looking just to your right, where Blackjack is just standing there tapping his foot.
So, where do we find that guy you were talking about?
He looks at you, Edric, and goes, I see you found a friend in here, but if you'll be with me. And he turns and walks towards the left-hand side of the bar where there is a door. He just...
Is that back to the job room as well?
Yep. So Tarin and Mug would recognize that particular door. Mm-hmm. They also notice that, unlike nearly everyone else that has gone through it, Blackjack does not go up to the bar first. He just waves a hand at the barkeep and strolls on through.
Ooh. Tarin is incredibly nervous right now because that implies somebody who's very comfortable in this place. So is going to be very jumpy, looking around, trying to make sure he's seeing everything because he's terrified.
Edric is gonna turn to Tarin, and he's gonna ask, "Do you recognize any of this? Because you seem a bit on edge."
Yes. He's whispering, by the way. I'm just going to say it out loud so that you can hear
Yeah,
me.
of course.
Yes. The Shattered Hand. Me and the mug. We came here before. Where we're going now, looks like the job room from what I remember.
Wait, so that's where you got the contract to kill Silas?
Yeah. It's a little scary. There are lots of mean-looking people in here, but from what I can tell, this Blackjack guy is the scariest. So if we stick with him, we might be okay.
Okay. In case that I didn't make it clear with my voice, he's gonna like swallow the word me and then say Silas. And then I'm
Sorry,
gonna go.
I didn't catch what you said last. Sorry.
I thought I'd clarify because, well, my voice might be a bit weird because of the whole mouth situation here. Instead of like to kill Silas, he muffled the word me first, but then like swallowed it back
Yeah.
and went Silas.
Oh yeah. I did catch that.
Okay, good. And then I'm gonna go. So that's where you got the contracts as well. Might need to take a look at that wall as well.
Yeah.
Just gonna assume there's a job board on the wall or something.
So,
from what I recall, there was.
as you enter that back room, you find that Tarin, you notice it's very different. There is now no one in this room at all. The job board is, however, still there.
Can I take a quick look?
Yep. Blackjack holds a hand up as you get into the center of the room and goes, "Make yourself at home. I'll let people know you're here."
Can we get a drink here? I promised our dwarf some ale.
He laughs and goes, "It's on the house." And he waves at the bar at the other end and just holds up a number of fingers to indicate the number of drinks. The barman immediately starts pouring since he's got nothing better to do.
Okay.
The
In that case, I'm going to take a look at the board as well.
Yeah. The elf stays in there with you, just leaning against the door, or beside the door, I should say. Blackjack, however, walks up to the other end of the building and goes up some stairs. So, Edric, you approach the board and see tons of pieces of paper, and they have on them everything from pictures of items and prices to acquire them from people, up to assassination contracts, through to blackmail, extortion, every kind of illicit job from small to large that you could imagine. What catches your eye at one point is a contract up there for a very familiar young lady.
Oh?
So you see a contract there for Alara DuPont, wanted alive, 300 gold.
I'm going to take the contract.
Noted. You pick the contract up, fold it, pocket it.
I'm also specifically going to see if the contract for Silas has been replaced ever since it's been taken before.
You don't see any other contract for Silas up there.
Okay. That's just a mental note thing. And then I'm gonna turn to the bar and get me the drink.
As you turn, you notice that a barmaid has appeared practically out of nowhere and has a large tray of drinks that she's rushing out to the table. And she slowly starts lifting them off and putting them down in front of everyone. Mug immediately knocks his back and puts the empty cup back on the tray.
Tarin's just going to pass his mug to Mug without saying a word. She's going to pass it over and sit there.
It doesn't take long for Mug to go through a couple of beers. The waitress seems to have prepped the barkeep to have a couple already ready.
Whoa. Sorry.
The door opens slightly and you can hear the band in the other room, and the elf just slams it shut in the face of whoever was trying to come in. It doesn't take long for Blackjack to come back down, and behind him is a elderly human male who is dressed rather well.
Hello.
He glances the lot of you over and has a slight frown on his face. But he approaches. Blackjack sort of steps off to the side, and he pulls up a chair himself to the table where the lot of you are and takes a seat. He looks from one of you to the other around the table and says, "The lot of you have been a great deal of both trouble and entertainment for the last night and a half. My associate here mentioned that you had dealt with some interesting trouble that's plagued both yourselves and myself quite handily. And with that, I would like to make an offer.
Yeah.
Any and all contracts on yourselves, your crew, and anybody on the Cirrus will be rescinded by the Syndicate on just one condition.
Nice.
That the mutual friend of ours, the ambassador of Bakard, disappears permanently.
Deal.
No one issues a contract in this city on behalf of the Syndicate without running it past me first."
Merrisea has been chatting to Bingo about some socks while of this, but she's going to lean over and go,
Socks!
"Gosh, sorry, did you say something about? Are you doing some dodgy deals over here? Sorry."
The elderly man looks across at you, Merrisea, and just flashes a very charming smile. "Of course, my dear. That is the only kind of business that occurs in this room."
Lovely. Who are we knocking off? Is that the right term? I'm not sure.
Yep, that's right.
The
Oh, thank you,
ambassador
Lord.
of Bakard,
Oh,
a downright
Right, very
nuisance in this city, and one that is putting the Syndicate in an increasingly precarious position.
I'm a very experienced traveller and adventurer. I haven't quite killed anyone on order yet. How would we prove to you that we carried this out? No, us that did it, and we would get our rewards.
He smiles and goes, "Trust me, my dear, when the ambassador disappears, I will know about it."
Can we keep his head? I have a different use for that.
Oh, Edric, how uncouth.
He smiles and goes, "You may do what you will. Just be aware that the elders of Port Marley are very unlikely to take kindly to a public killing of an ambassador on their soil. I would recommend discretion, but the choice is entirely yours. Just be aware that this is not an openly sanctioned kill by the Syndicate. This is entirely an opportunity for you to get some vengeance on the person who has caused us both some grief."
I'd like to do that. I will need to ask for one thing afterwards, because if we take out someone as high profile as this, eventually it will catch up to us, and our ship is not in any fighting shape.
He chuckles at that and says, "Due to the, let's say, issues that were caused earlier this morning very publicly, the work being done on your vessel is being made the highest priority. It would not surprise me in the slightest if your vessel will be ready to go in just a mere day or two."
That's good. Is there any chance you could provide us with some more firepower?
If you mean in the terms of cannons and rifles, I'm afraid in that regard, the Syndicate, at least in Port Marley, will not be able to assist. Weapons are in very short supply, and the elders have been gathering up and requisitioning everything they can get their hands on.
Okay.
And I'm sure you can understand, I am not exactly going to be selling the very weapons that protect my city out from under them.
That seems sensible.
He turns to the rest of you and says, "It's not very often I give an audience to anyone who is not an actual member of the Syndicate, although I am aware that one or two of you have paid us a visit before. If this job is completed, you are welcome any time in the Shattered Hand."
It's a wonderful establishment. Good for gambling.
He smiles. "It is for that, and the house always does get its cut. You have done quite well tonight.
Thank you.
And through that, I've done well. Thank you very much."
Oh, lovely. Always good to be helpful. I like being helpful.
He turns across back to you, Edric, and says, "As I said, discretion. Should you require a distraction of some of the guards, I am certain my associates, Blackjack and Spades, will be quite happy to assist."
I look at the others and I'll ask, so, quick moment of planning. Do we want to go for the big bang? Or do we go for the smaller bang?
Can you repeat that last bit?
Do we want to go for the big bang or a slightly more subtle bang?
Always go for the big bang. For what?
Well, that would mean dragging our weaponry through the street and just openly assaulting the
Oh,
ambassador's
I
house.
don't want to drag anything else today.
No, dear, it sounds like you've had your work cut out for you.
I really have. It's been a very long day.
Try not to draw attention to ourselves until absolutely necessary.
That might be a sensible idea. In that case, it could be useful to bring the associates along for a distraction.
I'm pretty good at distractions.
The man
That
gets up,
is true.
nods to you all, and goes, I'll leave the rest to yourselves, and I'll be looking forward to hearing news of your success.
Thank you for your time, Mr. Fifth.
The 5th, yes. It is the name I go by here. It's best not to use real ones in our line of work.
I'm going to smile a little bit, but that means that the scarf will probably lower a bit, showing part of the mustache.
If you come across any of my other associates and survive your meeting with the ambassador, I will pass on a good word. And with that, he turns and starts making his way back upstairs.
He seems a charming fellow. Do we know where the ambassador would be?
Yep, it's that big mansion that... Oh wait, you weren't there when we raided it. We basically took someone very important from their basement before.
Oh.
She's at the ship now. This is what she looks like, and I pull out the contract on her.
So Edric does a
Oh.
mug.
Well, in this case, it's more like I have something with her picture on it, and it's easier than like telling her that there was this person that she has never seen before, or well, possibly seen once in a like sideways glance or something. And that's it. So I'm gonna pull out the thing, and I'll show that to them, and I'll go. So, this is a friend of mine, and this contract is now no longer on offer. And I rip it like to pieces and put them in my inside pocket.
So, obviously I've missed a thing. Are we all in grave danger or something?
Well, grave danger is a big word. We're not.
2 words, darling, 2 words. Carry on.
It's 2 big words. Smartass.
It is a shame when you cover your face so, Edric. Lovely smile under that beard.
like that's actually Edric's response. Or well, Edric's response now. Yeah, he's going by Edric now.
Oh, Edric.
Well, don't worry about pronunciation. It changes every 5 minutes.
Oh, sure, okay.
As in the way he pronounces it changes every 5 to 10 minutes.
Because he's not really sure about the name. Sure, cool.
Yep.
So
I'm not sure either.
I don't really know what's going on still, to be completely honest, Jack. So have you been doing some naughty things whilst I've been making friends?
Well, we've escaped. We've freed someone who was like being tortured, and then I believe they, and I point to Tarin and Mug, went on an adventure as well. And I'm gonna like look at them with a bit of a question mark.
Tarin's gonna duck his head and be like, well, we came to the Shatter's Hand because I was searching for Mug and I found him. and he'd taken the contract out on this Silas gentleman. So then we had to go and find this Silas gentleman, and we went around all the ships in the harbour. We nearly got killed, but we still didn't find him. So we've just given up.
Oh. Oh. What happens when you give up on a contract?
You hear a mutter
Well-
from Mug going, "I've not given up yet."
Edric
feet
is going to put his hand to his hood to reveal something, but then, like, as soon as Mug says, "I've not given up," he's going to pull the hood tighter instead of throwing it off.
So the rest of us are in trouble, though? Very good.
Well, trouble is a big word. We did upset an ambassador, though.
This is the one we're going to stabby.
Preferably no stabbing, because that's blood, but yes.
You were talking about exploding him.
I could still do that. That would be fun.
Explosions mean that there's less blood to see.
Ah.
However, I do kind of need the head. I need to send that to Bakar.
Oh. Try to not
What
go
if
around whilst
we cut his head off and then exploded him? So it looked like the whole thing exploded and that was what killed him, but actually, we cut his head off.
Do we know anything about this ambassador? Do they like tinkering with alchemy or anything like that? Could it look like an
Could we lull him into an alchemy shop and make it explode?
Oh, I like this idea. We don't want to hurt too many people, though. So, exploding a shop with people in might not be.
So what we need is a rundown abandoned shop. We can
Yes.
paint the front of to make it look like an alchemist shop. And then I'll run in the back and pretend to be like the customer advisor. And then I'll blow it up.
Don't blow
I have
yourself
to
up.
say, wonderful plan, dear.
Thank you.
How do we separate his head from his body, though, before we blow it up?
I can do a very well timed explosion. It will blow him to smithereens, but leave the head. Maybe, possibly. I'll get back to you on that.
I have to say I'm not very good with the squeamish things. But Edric, if you wanted to go in with a choppy or something and remove the head, and then you'd explode it. Why are we killing this ambassador, by the way? Why? What has he done?
Well, he angered the guy that we just spoke to, who's the leader of the bad guys here. Or, well, bad guys is a big word. Two big
That's
words.
2 words again, darling. 2 words.
Counting is difficult.
Oh,
Except
sorry.
when it's bullets.
Blackjack is just
Blackjack is still there.
he's just standing in the background smirking at all this. And the second you
Bingo waves.
and the second Edric says bad guys, he just smirks even like wider.
Ooh. Wisp, is that a suggestion you make out loud?
Sure.
In that case, Edric's gonna go, yes, because then I don't have to see it, but I can collect the head.
Read it out though, please. Little pudding, darling.
Always build a sort of guillotine trap and lure him, and that way none of us have to get our hands dirty.
Blackjack points a finger across at you, Wisp, and goes, "I like how you think."
How does
Can we
one?
not blow him up just a little bit?
We can do
Maybe
that
we could-
afterwards.
We could blow up the body, darling, perhaps.
Okay.
How does one trick someone into poking their head through a hole so that we can then chop it off?
We put
Oh, I know.
a sign on a wall saying, put your head through here for a really nice surprise.
I mean, that's wonderful. Could we do like?
Did it work on me?
No, darling. What we'd put is look through this hole for socks, and then you would.
What? Socks where?
Just the ones that you gifted me earlier. Thank you again, darling. How about we stage a magic show for the ambassador and ask for an assistant to step up to help us with a trick. Get them to stick their head through the thing and then slicey, choppy blood spills.
That sounds good.
Well, but he seems like the kind of man who likes his luxuries. I'm assuming women would be included in that. We could maybe ask somebody to seduce him into putting his head through a hole.
Bags are not me! Not it!
I know a woman who wasn't there when we were welcomed into that house. And with that, I'm going to turn to Merrisea.
Mercy is going to instantly look over her shoulder, looking for the person that he's talking about.
I'm going to
Oh,
look.
who is it, darling?
I'm just going to slowly point to Merrisea. And then I'm
Oh,
going to sigh.
yes, I'm sure I give that a jolly good go. Hang on a minute. So I was seducing him and then saying it would turn me on rather if you were to stick your head through this hole and then we chop the head off.
Yes.
I have to say, I don't know if I've done anything quite so strange, but you know me, I'm all up for new experiences.
That's the spirit.
What does this ambassador look like? What am I working with here?
Ugly.
Oh,
Sorry.
that's okay. I've had my fair share of frogs in my time.
Kind of short-tempered as well.
Oh, jolly good. So quickly get his head through the hole. Okay, excellent. Where are we making this guillotine from? Has anybody got any wood in their pocket? Oh, that's not what I meant. Turn away, Bingo.
I'm too young to understand any of this! Da 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 da.
He's a good lad. Do we know if there happen to be any guillotine? Can we just take an axe rather than building a whole guillotine?
I'm slowly glance at Wisp because the last time I saw someone build an impressive trap, it was Wisp.
Oh.
I was thinking of a trap, but now it's turned into a magic show.
A magic show with a happy ending by the sounds of it at the moment, and I'm not sure.
Blackjack
Well,
is just now leaning against the wall. He seems thoroughly entertained with your planning session now.
I'm waiting for a face palm. That's when I know
Does
we're doing
anyone
well.
else feel like we're being tested here?
I have to say, I'm having a ruddy good time, so I don't mind.
I feel like we're on some sort of reality show and they're just watching what we do for their own entertainment.
It's like someone's recording us so they can listen back to this farce and have a jolly chuckle at us.
Now that's just too ridiculous. Who'd want to do that?
Blackjack approaches your table and looks at you all and goes, "Perhaps you're putting a little too much effort into tricking your mark."
Edric, could we just not kill him in one way and then chop the head off afterwards?
Oh yeah, that could work as well, just as long as he dies.
Like a simple poisoning or something. Here, here's a lovely glass of wine. Om nom nom. Then they're dead. Then you can do the hacky bit.
Yes, but please make it painful.
Really? Why?
This guy works for someone I know.
Oh. Wouldn't it you like be doing the pain then? They don't really mean much to me.
On one end, yes, but on the other hand, I don't want to get blood on my anything. Blood.
Quite squeamish, dear, aren't you? It's quite charming.
It's not squeamish. It's just blood is filthy.
Oh.
Do you like killing people so much then?
Because that's fun. It's just the blood that's not fun.
Blackjack just smiles at you, Edric, and goes, "And that's where we can agree to disagree." That's where we can agree to disagree. He seems to thoroughly enjoy blood.
Blood just
I
makes
love your
mistakes.
mistype.
Not a good idea. Oh,
Oh,
that-
hey.
can you hear us again?
Yeah, I can. I'm just a bit worried at the fact that it's cutting out so much and for so long. I think
Oh.
this must be my internet. But
That to me
Well-
too, but I just normally reload it again and it's fine. So that's why I disappear every like 5 minutes.
Let me
yeah,
just...
it's just because we've switched internet provider recently, so it's probably because of that and cutting out. And they're also doing fiber optic in my neighborhood at the moment, so like it's very possible that lots of things are like interfering.
I'll just jump the server. Hopefully that can improve it a bit. There we go. And we should be back.
Hello.
Hello?
Hi.
Yep. Hopefully we got a Tarin and a Wisp.
Tarin?
Wisp?
Oh,
Oh,
There we
hello?
go. Alrighty.
Was there a Tarin as well? Tarin?
oh, Bingo's saying. Oh, where's the Sarah taken?
Let me just jump it again. Hopefully it refreshes for everybody.
I do like how many backstories are like along like common grounds.
Do we have a Tarin and a Wisp?
Nope, and nope.
Tarin.
Got a Merrisea, Bingo, and Edric.
Huh?
Ah,
Yeah.
there's a wisp.
We got a Wisp. Yep.
Hey.
And it's just Tarin. It sounds like it might be Tarin's connection, because...
Yeah. Well, yeah, like Kate said, it sounds like there's a lot of things
Yeah.
that could be playing into it.
Ooh, we could the server with that. Ooh, they also downgraded standard audio quality because Nitro now offers boost. Their paid system.
Ah, okay. We'll see how it goes for now. Hopefully Tarin's connection improves. In the meantime, I'll start typing up something to go in the chat just so that she can catch up.
Holy Jesus, I'm pinging in at 500 now.
Ah, right. I'll just jump us back.
Ah, now I'm back to 20.
I just saw a Facebook message saying she might cut out for the night.
Oh.
Yeah.
We could text her any big decisions and make her be a
Yeah.
part of them,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, if someone's happy to message her.
Oh, I've just seen it.
Yep. Ratio. So Blackjay is gonna look at you all and suggest it's probably best that this be done at night. Less witnesses and less chance that there are people in the embassy itself that we do not want there.
Fair.
In the meantime, I can do the rounds to make sure that it's clear to everyone that the contracts on the crew of the Sirius are on permanent hold until otherwise mentioned. which should prevent any further incidents.
Can I ask something about? Can I ask Blackjay something?
Yep.
I'd like to ask Blackjay. Well, I'll do that in character.
Mhm.
I heard there were a few contracts on some people from the care. I've found the one for Lady Alada de Pom. And there's also the one for, I believe it was a Mr. Bastard.
Blackjay looks at you, Edric, and smiles and goes, "We have a very particular way of working with our contracts. It's very bad business if someone is in direct competition with another. It's not a good idea to have your best agents killing each other over a paltry contract. The easiest way to make sure that doesn't happen is to only have the one contract. If it's not up on the board, it is out in the field. We keep tabs on who takes them, and if you wind up dead, a new contract's going to go up there. But in the meantime, it's yours."
Okay. That answers most of the questions there.
It's just good business.
It's a very good strategy to not get your agents murdered.
Well, it makes it harder to take on new contracts and bring in the gold. Can't have amateurs running everything, can we? That said, myself and Spades will meet you by your ship first thing as the sun goes down, and don't worry about curfew. Where we're going, no one's going to see us.
This all sounds jolly exciting.
He grins across at you, Merrisea, and goes, "Oh, it is." He looks across the room at the elf and just makes a gesture, and the elf throws the door open, leans out, and then leans back in. One at a time, people start to make their way back into this room. You see some of them go back up and approach the board and collect a couple of contracts here and there and make their way out or to a table. Others just make their way up to tables and have drinks and quiet conversations. A few of you notice that there's a couple of tables where not only are they talking, but they seems to be a bit of money changing hands.
Merrisea's eyes light up.
Blackjay looks across at you all and says, "There's only so long we can keep this room off limits. It's bad business to shut the doors for too long. I suggest you make your way back to your ship. Rest up, you're going to be busy tonight."
Sounds good.
Oh gosh, I haven't been on the ship for a while. How lovely it'll be to be back there.
He nods and goes, "Your cannon and stolen equipment should already be there. If it's not, let me know."
Okay.
Are we going to leave the pub? Go back to the ship.
Blackjay walks away from the table and heads back out the door, and the elf just turns on his heel and follows. The last thing you hear from him is, "Tonight at sundown, I'll be seeing you near the Cirrus."
Lovely chaps. What an exciting evening it sounds like we have planned. Shall we go and get some shut-eye?
That might be a good idea in preparation of tonight.
As Merrisea leaves the pub, she's going to wave to any of the guys that she'd hustled and taken all of their things off of her.
Some of them aren't there, but the few that are, just one of them just sort of has his eyes go wide and he gives a wave as if you're suddenly his best friend. The other one is distinctly pretending not to see you.
Lovely to have met you, chaps. Goodbye.
A couple of the others in the room watch as you leave, but no one seems to make any fuss as you go out the door.
And back to the ship.
Yep.
So you make your way through the various side streets of what Blackjack called the Shadow District. It's warehouses, shops, rundown slums, but you eventually make it into the less rundown sections and then back up to the docks. As you approach, you see that the cannon is indeed actually back at your ship and in the process of being loaded aboard. And there is a veritable workforce just all over the Cirrus, patching and repairing, painting. It is a ship that is thoroughly under construction right now.
Good.
You'd guess there's at least twice as many people working on it now than there were when they first arrived.
Mostly good. I'm gonna quickly rush below decks.
You duck below decks and the ship's a bustle of activity. The crew are pretty much wandering around supervising. Neros is up on deck with the master shipbuilder and occasionally barking orders to people. As you head down below decks, you walk past the front couple of rooms and there's a couple of crew gambling or just relaxing in their cabins where they're relatively out of the way. The door to the armory is as you last left it.
Good. I'm gonna unlock it.
Yep. And as you make your way up to the rear of the ship where the mess is, you see a couple of the crew just sitting and talking to Lady Alar.
Okay, good.
She gives you a cheerful wave.
Bingo waves back.
Yep, same.
Hi!
Hello, dear. Who's that?
That's Lady Alara.
Not cheerful no matter who they are. That's endearing. Is that the right word? Endearing? Endearing? I don't know. Put up words.
That is only one word this time. Well done.
It's
Edric,
endearing.
please pay attention.
There's 3 words. Endearing.
Sure. Dear thing. Hello, lady.
She smiles at you, Merrisea, and greets you equally cheerfully.
Wait, quick question.
Yep.
Because I believe Merrisea and Edric had that conversation where he revealed to be like nobility.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't she mention that she was nobility as well?
Yes.
In that case, does she know Lady Alara from that time?
Oh, good question. I don't know. Is Lady Alara a human?
She is a human woman. She appears to be in her very early 20s. She has long brown hair well past her shoulders. Golden eyes.
I think if she's human, then Merrisea might know of her kind of vaguely. She's more kind of, she only really hung out with elf nobility. She's a
You
bit of a,
don't specifically recognize her from any one place, but you can tell by the way she's sitting and gesturing that she is upper class.
I can tell she's got good breeding.
She looks across at all of you and goes, "How did your little errand go?" There was
Cannons
a...
being installed.
That's good to hear. I heard a commotion earlier this morning, but for obvious reasons I couldn't really go and investigate. But the crew did mention that someone had made off with some of the equipment. I'm glad to hear it got returned.
I'm also gonna actually tell her that I found out that there's a contract to deliver her alive.
Her eyes widen slightly and goes, "Oh, that
The,
that is a concern."
the good part, though, is that I'm the only one looking for you. Because I have the contract and they won't put it out twice. So you're safe.
She laughs and goes, "I believe that I'm starting to rack up a larger number of debts to you, my friend."
Well, you can at least deliver on one of those debts by not telling anyone what you know about that poster that Mug showed you.
She smiles and goes, "I believe for obvious reasons." And she glances across where Mug has now sat down and looks back at you, Edric. "I believe for obvious reasons that's probably best not to enlighten some of your companions of."
Yeah, that seems like a good idea. Did you enjoy yourself down here, or?
She looks to some of the crew members and back to yourself and goes, "I've been entertained. The crew have made time for me to talk and to tell me of their adventures. It's helped alleviate the boredom of being stuck below decks."
That's good. That's really good to hear.
It sounds as though that we will be leaving port shortly as well. Another day at the most, so it doesn't seem to be like it will be forever.
No, it's we'll get you some fresh air soon.
I look forward to that moment.
Until then, the armory is at the ocean side, so you could always open the window.
She smiles and goes, "Thank you for that. I do have one more favor I unfortunately thought of only after you had all departed."
Yes.
And she plucks at the clothes that she's wearing, which are still the borrowed ones from yourself and others. "The ambassador wasn't too kind on my wardrobe, and it would be rather nice to have something a little bit more in my size."
That I can understand.
"Can I ask one of you to pass by the merchants district and acquire some clothing for me? I unfortunately can't pay for it myself right now, but I can guarantee that anything that is purchased will be paid in full with extra for the inconvenience.
Well, to be fair, ever since dear Dad sent me off, money is a bit of a thing that I need to be careful about. But I can try and see what I can do.
I thank you for it. They don't need to obviously be the fanciest clothes. They just need to be serviceable enough.
Oh, are we going shopping?
Yeah.
What colour palette suits you best, dear? Let's have a look at you.
She smiles and goes, "Reds and whites, my dear. Trimmed in black's usually quite good. But as I said, they don't have to be the fanciest in the world. They just have to be serviceable."
I'm sure we can sort something out for you, dear. I think Edric, whatever you're saying now, we have pressing matters, and sleepy times and things.
Yeah. We should go to bed. If you wish to get back to your hammock, you should just knock 3 times on the armory door and I'll open it for you, Lady Alara.
She smiles and nods and goes, "Thank you for that."
You're welcome.
I just dropped an image of Lady Alara anyway into the chat.
Oh, gracious. That's not what she's wearing right now, is it?
Oh, no. That is most definitely...
She looks fine.
That was what she was wearing prior to her visit to the ambassador.
Sure. And now she's in, like, a sackcloth or something. Yes.
A shirt that's literally the size of Edric because it's one of Edric's shirts. And Edric is quite a large-built human.
She's also slightly more petite than Edric is, so she's wearing it kind of like a tunic.
Cute.
Coloured socks.
And yes, she's got coloured socks from Bingo. Edric, you specifically know that all the women in her line have those same golden eyes. They're a bit of a family trait.
Okay.
So, Lady Alara remains in the mess, chatting away to various crew as they come down and tell her stories of travels and so on. Flaley comes down, talks to a little bit to Tarin and some of the others, and then goes back up to assist with the work. The rest of you can putter around or rest or get up to mischief as you so choose.
See ya. See ya.
Sorry, darling. Were you talking to me? I can't really hear. My sound keeps going weird.
Can I borrow your kitten for a second?
Oh, certainly. She does like a series of little clicks. And the kitten... Mama Finn, come here, dear.
Finn.
Type that?
I named her after an elven warrior that we learned about when I was a child. Oh, why are you not picking? Me? Oh. Her name is Marmothin the Mighty. Wonderful warrioress elf from our folklore. So Marmathin or Marmite for short.
Huh. So I'm gonna pick Finn. Right? I'm gonna turn away from you and I'm gonna put a blue scarf on it and then hand them back to you. Here you go. I picked up at the market for you earlier because I thought, well, a cat needs a collar and I thought this was cute. And if you're any good at embroidery, you can put the name on, but I'm not. So here you go.
Oh, darling, that's so thoughtful of you. Doesn't she look smashing? Brings out the blue of her eyes.
Cute.
I've been teaching her things. Would you like to see?
Yes.
So I'm just going to check what actual things I can do. So I can make her come to me. So I'll like run to the other side of the room, do a series of little clicks, and little Marmite jumps across the room to me. Marmite, jump! And get to jump on the table and onto a chair and just faff around with the kitten for a little while.
Oh.
She's ever so clever.
Oh. A real soft spot for animals. I find them so adorable and unlike humans who are grumpy and mean.
Well, I do know what you mean, dear. Well, you're welcome to have a cuddle whenever you need one.
Actually know yet what we're doing in terms of this plan. Show or the guillotine or what? Because if we are, we probably should know what we're doing first before we go like head first into it.
I'm still nearly not sure how I feel about killing someone randomly, but I'm just going along with it for the
Is it poison
experience.
we're going with?
Pardon?
I'm bringing them here. Is it poison?
Or... not sure. Let me just see what I've got on me. I don't think I have anything that's that useful.
Is Edric still here?
Yes, Edric is sitting down next to Alara now.
Edric, come over here so we can plan this thing properly.
But I'm sharing a drink with a lady. Well,
Fuck.
I'll have to take a rain check on this drink. Enjoy it, and I'm gonna wander over to Wisp and Mercia with the cask of mead, and I'm gonna drop that in front of me and just keep pouring drinks for myself.
Noted.
I'll take one of those if you have a spare glass, dear.
Well, I have no spare glass, but if you hold open your mouth, I can open the pump.
Oh, hi. We'll just get this one. Sure, wonderful. She kind of tilts her head back, looking a bit confused.
He's gonna very carefully try to hold the tap over her face and then open it, so that it's in her mouth and not all over her body.
Ooh, lovely. Thank you. It hits the back of the throat when one drinks it like that.
Yeah, but that just makes you enjoy it more, right?
Precisely, dear, precisely. So, we have to kill a man that we barely know to save our own skins, right?
He works for my dear daddy. That's enough reason to murder him.
Oh.
Daddy,
Do not like
that's an
daddy
awfully
much.
posh word.
What was that, Wisp?
There you. You hear that?
No.
No, sorry.
Dear Daddy, that's awfully posh, is it not?
Oh, if only you knew.
Mercy is going to smirk, but not say anything.
Right, what exactly are we going to be doing? Because we can't sneak in the kitchen like we done last time.
Well, we have Blackjack and his boyfriend. They could pose a distraction, and then in the meantime, we can shoot the lock.
Huh.
Or does anyone have an axe? Oh, Ooh, I have a few axes. In fact, we own axes. Quite a few.
Cut them down anyway.
Well, we have an armory full of weapons that no one's even checked. There's boarding axes, and there's rifles, and there's pistols, and there's so many toys.
But guards and things like that, this isn't very well thought through.
Well, the guards don't necessarily have to die, but I guess if they're in the way, we might as well take the joy.
What if he escapes?
What, the ambassador? He's about twice as fat as he is tall. There's no way he's going to be faster.
Horse, you never know.
We killed the horse.
Oh.
Also, I pity the poor horse if he has to carry that fat fuck.
Maybe it's a Clydesdale.
I still pity the horse if he has to carry that fat fuck. I wouldn't want to touch that fat fuck with a 10-foot pole.
Gosh, you really don't like this chap, do you?
It's more I don't like the people he associates with. And therefore, by proxy, dislike him. Wait, Glyn?
Yep.
Seeing as the ambassador is from House Begatal, does that mean that he is family to the leader of House Begatal?
No, you know that a lot of the people that are in House Begatel are employees or basically long-standing family servants and friends and allies. The whole house is made up of more individuals than just the family itself. But the core elite of the family are the leadership.
Okay. So no need to call him uncle then.
No. You know that the actual family of Begatal is not all that big, consisting of your parents and a small number of relatives.
Okay. In that case, I'm gonna tell them that the fact that he associates with these people means that he should die. And if the Syndicate wants it, well, why not make a few friends along the way?
No matter exactly how this is all going about, though.
Well, the main goal is that in the end he dies, and honestly, for the plan, as long as he dies, I'm happy.
Basically, we're going into this blind.
Well, we can see, but we
know what I
don't know
meant.
what we're going to see. So yes, I guess that's basically a form of being blind.
Basically, the plan is sneak in as far as possible and try to get a hit in.
A kitten? I've got one of those.
In!
Neros, somewhere up on deck, feels the epic urge to facepalm, and he doesn't know why.
Oh, it's useful that you have now have a telepathic link with Neros, because, well, whenever we need him, you can just say anything, and he facepalms and he knows we're in
Say
trouble.
something particularly stupid, he'll suddenly feel the urge to come and check that we're not doing anything. I still haven't. I need to hit on him at some point.
Oh,
So,
there is the one minor issue where this morning I may have promised whoever it was that showed up on our ship that we tried not to get too much trouble. Then again, isn't it staying out of trouble if we're becoming friends with the guys who run all the evil shit here?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if we wouldn't kill the guy that we promised the Syndicate that we are going to kill, then the Syndicate would be mad at us, which would be trouble. So therefore, causing trouble is the way to get out of trouble, and I don't understand any of this. But I get to kill, so I'm happy. All of
How
that
do you
will
feel about the
include-
plan?
Is there a
I-
plan?
I vote yes on going there and killing him, but what's the rest of the plan? This is kind of how Edric feels about the plan.
Honest, there is no plan. Okay, you're going in first, and you're making sure everyone's getting out alive, or I'll personally have your head if I turn into a ghost.
Wait. I can't make sure everyone gets out alive. The goal is that
you
the guy
can.
doesn't come out alive.
You are personally responsible for this entire mission, okay?
Does that mean that I get to kill him?
Yes, you're the guy who hates him. You're the only reason we're doing this in the first place.
Isn't the guy that asked us to do this the reason that we're doing it? If he didn't ask it, I wouldn't have proposed it. Totally didn't plan before session to also offer to kill this guy.
The one who wanted the cannon. It's all led to this. It's your fault. You're in charge. If anything goes wrong, it's all down to you. So you better make sure this goes perfectly, sir, because I would like to keep my head. I'm pretty sure Merrisea would like to keep her head and the entire rest of the crew, okay?
Well, do you still have the receipt for that head? Because if it falls off, we can then switch it in for a new one.
Haha, try and be funny, but seriously, we need a proper plan, so come up with one before tonight so we can at least have some shot of surviving.
I do like your idea of being silent until I see him and then shooting him in the head several times like a madman until he dies.
That's if we don't get caught getting in there in the first place.
We won't get caught, and if we do, we kill everybody that sees us and no one sees us anymore.
We're gonna have to do that sneakily, because otherwise if you're shooting your guns off, someone's gonna hear and then the whole alarm will go off, and then what?
I also have this helmet that's good for bashing in people. They will go to sleep nicely then.
Oh boy, tonight's gonna be fun. Merrisea, good luck.
Edric is getting slightly more tipsy, which is why he's not really cooperating to make the plan.
So we're going to possibly have a snooze, go and meet the Card brothers outside, go to the ambassador's wherever he lives, and then do some killing. That's the plan.
Yes.
Lovely.
We do know a few things about where the guards are, though. And with that, Edric is gonna describe. Wait. Ooh, I have a knife with me. I'm gonna take out the knife and carve in the table that we're sitting at a little bit of a map of the house as far as I remember it, and the garden around it. And I'm going, there was a guard here, and he walked this way on his patrol. There was also a guard here, and he walked this way on his patrol. And I just draw out everything that we've noticed with the previous heist.
So you draw a rough map of the front rooms of the mansion, as well as the gardens that lead around to the back and the kitchens.
Yes.
So the rest of you, Whisp, you add a couple of details yourself based on your memory. And Merrisea, it makes a reasonable map of the layout of a ground floor of a larger mansion. There's obviously blank spots, rooms that weren't entered, or like space that would need to be filled out to make a complete map. But it gives you the general idea of the place. And if the lot of you are confident enough in your plan, you can rest up.
I don't think confidence the word. If
Merrisea
we're
just been
annoyed
playing with
enough
the
at
kitten
planning-
whilst these two are making a map.
You know what? With that, I'm gonna actually turn to Wisp and I'm gonna go. So, would you like to sneak around through the gardens and try the back door that we know will be locked this time? Or do you want to try the front door that we know will be guarded?
Your lockpicking skills.
Well, I'm not that good at lockpicking, but he is, and I pull Sugar out, my pistol.
I'll make noise and alert them.
Can't we bring a pillow?
Will that work? Could we, like,
I do know. I do now know something that Edric is gonna want to fashion eventually, Glenn. A silencer.
We'll see how he goes with his projects.
Yeah, that's the big issue first. But I'm gonna go. Well, lockpicking might not be the easiest option then, but it might be the best option because, well, guards will spot us.
dude?
Did you say something? I didn't hear.
As I said, agreed.
So then I guess the plan for now is we sneak around back door.
Get
Now
that
we see-
open.
Then we see how we open the door. However we do it, we will open the door. Because if not, then we'll just kick it in. Or ask Mug to hammer it in.
I don't think Bingo would have anything acidic that could, like, melt it, do you?
Ooh, Bingo might. Out of character though, Bingo will be back in like a while. She's typing a cover letter.
Of character, we need more people here.
Mm. Well, we could kind of make the plan and then say, let's leave it there and not actually do anything without other people.
That's a good idea.
Yep, we can do that.
Ooh, because if that means that Tarin and Mug will be there, the epic twist that I'm planning will be so much better. I mean, it's not really a plot twist anymore, but it is for the characters.
Mm. Also gives a chance for the captain to return.
Ooh, and
Love to know
once
what he thinks about all this, by the way.
he's gonna get swept into like murdering this guy. He doesn't have a say in it anymore.
Get him to do the bloody bit then.
Well, if we get him to do the bloody bit, how do I get to kill him?
You don't
Although,
like
yes.
blood.
That's a good point. You know what? He can cut off the head so that I don't have to do that, and I can send the head off to my dear old dad afterwards.
And ask Bingo for a sag to carry the head in so you don't even have to have the drippy parts.
That's a good idea.
Make sure there's no socks in it. He'd be ever so upset if the sock got blood on it.
We could put the head in a sock, in a big
Oh
sock.
no.
How much have you had to drink, by the way?
Hmm?
Drink.
A couple of ales, a bottle of whiskey, and now a few glasses of mead.
What time in the morning is it, Glenn? Or is it afternoonish? Or is it night?
It's getting a little bit towards lunch. You're not really expecting anything in the next couple of hours.
Okay.
Luckily, I'm good at like resisting alcohol. Or
huh.
well, resisting alcohol is not the correct word. I'm tempted by alcohol, but it doesn't affect me as much.
That tipsy. That also means Mug's tipsy as well.
Mug has just been steadily drinking.
She's gonna, he, she, I'm not sure which, is gonna be bingo. And if this is supposed to be a stealth mission,
Maybe she'll sleep it off. He'll sleep it off. It'll sleep it off.
Hey.
Also an option.
where this guy will possibly be by the time we're slipping in, sleeping, or
Well, seeing as we're going in at night, because that's the most silent time of day, I'd assume that he's either asleep or drinking wine.
Sorry, I just found a gif of Bhajiri when he returns.
Oh my
Oh.
god. We need to get Bingo a stuffed sock monkey at some point. That's shaped like Bhajiri.
So, as time goes on, your planning session sort of slows down.
Mayhem.
Yeah, spirals into mayhem. As it becomes a little bit more apparent that you do need your captain around to actually have any sort of leadership.
How very dare you?
Oi, we are really good at planning.
The ship is really starting to take form around you as the workmen, supported by the additional hands that have sort of sprung out of nowhere, have been working on the repairs. They're still quite... They're not making the repairs to be pretty, but they're being very efficient with what they're doing. So everything is functional, but probably not spruced up to the perfect level. Lady Lar has made her way back to the room where it seems like she's retired for a bit for some reading.
So that's the armory as well,
Yep.
right? I'm gonna join her there and work on my thingamabob.
Yep, I'll get you to do an engineering roll.
Sorry.
What was that?
You said I'm going to join her there and work on my thingamabob, and I could not contain the laugh that brewed inside me. I apologise.
Oh yeah, it's a surprise that I'm planning for like party members.
Sure.
13 plus 2 plus 2 is 17.
17, noted.
Excellent.
Rightio. That was a 17, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I just got to find the right spot to put it in. It's there. Noted. Your project is taking shape. You're pretty certain that if you keep working at the pace you're going, that it would only take another session or two of hard work, and you could probably have it ready to...
Now you're just making it innuendos.
Yep. So, to ensure we don't leave anyone behind for your shenanigans at the mansion, unless anyone has anything they would like to do while you've got downtime, we might finish it up, and then we can get everyone back together for your visit to the ambassador. Take 2.
As for Alara or something, then not got clothes. But I certainly can't afford to get her clothes.
I mean, Merrisea may have.
Mercia may have?
Won some gold recently, so she might have some for her.
You do remember that she said that she would pay you back with interest.
Mm-hmm. She had.
Radio. So
Paying back with interest, that's not going to be an issue for her, I assume. If we ever make it back to their home.
Yeah. Fair. Oh, cool. Oh, excuse me. Merrisea is gonna go and snuggle down in her hammock or bed. We had hammocks, didn't we? Because she got very excited.
Hammocks. Yep.
She's gonna get excited about the hammocks all over again. Probably fall out 3 times again. And then scoop the little kitten onto her chest and have a little snoozy snooze until it's time for stabbings.
On the second time of falling out of the hammock, Neris is actually walking past, and he face palms and just keeps on walking.
Love it. Oh, hello, dear. Oh, he's gone.
Wisp, do you get up to any shenanigans?
I'm gonna go to my hammock, but just like not be able to sleep because I'm just like, oh my god, we're all gonna die.
You spend your time in an existential crisis. And time eventually passes and the sun starts to go down. And we will leave it as one of the crewmen comes through and indicates that there is a pair of visitors on deck waiting for a couple of you, and he goes one by one to gather you up.
Okay. Sounds like an amazing moment to...
Yep. I think we'll park it there until we can get the rest of the crew together. In the meantime, I'll get a yo-ho for the recording and I'll kick that off.
Yo.
Yo.
Oh ho.